Hey, welcome back. Hope everybody is having a great Thursday. And thank you so much for joining me talking all things Masters of the Universe. Today, guys, like yesterday, we're going to be doing another verse mode. Which one figures better from Origins to MasterVerse? And of course, we're going to be looking at the Lord of Destruction, Skeletor, just like He-Man. There's been so many different variants and versions of Skeletor over the years for us collectors. But I had to go with the classic version. Now, I picked out two versions of the Origins line, and to my best, two versions of the Masters version of Skeletor. Of course, I had to, bring out, just like He-Man, his Wave 5 version of Skeletor right there. Of course, we have to do the Cartoon Collection version, or the Filmation style version of Skeletor. Alright. Now, this Skeletor here from MasterVerse is probably the closest version of Skeletor we got as far as the 80s line is concerned. This was part of that exclusive 2-pack from the 40th anniversary with that flocked He-Man, which we did get in single carded form. This is probably, like I said, the closest version of classic Skeletor we got in MasterVerse. Now, this version of Skeletor, I kind of tweaked and added a couple things and removed a couple things. This was part of that throne room that we just got not too long ago, and I used a head sculpt from the New Eternia Viking Skeletor, or the Pirate Skeletor. This was the second head sculpt that came with that version of Skeletor, and I removed, of course, the cape right here, and of course there's that extra head sculpt right there, to give me that probably the closest version of a loose retail, or vintage 80s version of Skeletor. Okay, so let me know. So we'll see which one do you prefer as far as classic version of Skeletor. Like I said, there's been so many different versions and variants of Skeletor, like He-Man. All right. Of course, if you are new to my channel or first time watching, I hope you will subscribe afterwards. I hope everyone hits that like button, and thank you so much for doing that. Hit that notification bell when you know I upload new videos, and please share this video who has a passion and a love for collecting all things Masters of the Universe. Without further ado, let's take a look at Skeletor, classic version Skeletor. All right, of course, we'll start with, like yesterday, we'll start with the Wave 5 re-release of Skeletor. Now, this was, of course, like He-Man, was the re-release from his Wave 1 version. So here's little Skeletor. In a way, like He-Man, this is kind of like, in a way, like the fan favorite version of Skeletor, in a way, before the fan favorite ever came out. Of course, I do have Wave 1 Skeletor here in the packaging. You see the slightly differences in the packaging. Of course, you have the 20, new for 20 right there from Wave 1, Master of the Universe logo, Skeletor, the evil Lord of Destruction, of course. And the only differences between the two of them is this one has more of that 80s head sculpt that we all know and love. Where this one here is him, I always imagine him laughing, at He-Man and all the good guys. But other than that, that's the same exact figure. There's no difference, okay? Now, I do prefer this version of Skeletor because it gave me that 80s feel to this version of Skeletor. This is still a great Skeletor. Like I said, it's the same figure. Only difference is it's just the face sculpt, head sculpt. And by this point, every version of Skeletor that we got, which is deluxe, had this face sculpt included with that Skeletor. And of course, I have that version of Skeletor right here. But before that, we'll take a look at the back of the packaging. Just like He-Man from Wave 5 and Wave 1, same artwork as well. There's no difference in the artwork in the back of the packaging. It's just the cross zone is different, okay? Alright. Alright, let's take a look at Skeletor here. I have that version of this version of Skeletor right here, loose in my collection. There he is. Like I said, we get that, to me, I'm getting those 80s vibes with that version of Skeletor. Like I said, this is still a great Skeletor, but this is a fantastic looking Skeletor. It looks amazing. Alright. There's the face sculpt right there. Awesome. Very cool. Alright. Alright, let's move on right along to his first and only classic or 80s style Skeletor, which was part of that 2-pack. Okay, so here he is in the packaging right here. Unfortunately, I really do hope that Mattel will find a way, somehow, I'm sure they can't, I'm sure they can, but, I mean, find a way to give us a single-carded version of this particular Skeletor for us collectors. This is a great-looking Skeletor. His mouth is articulated, you know, very cool. Beautiful Havoc staff. I mean, everything looks absolutely amazing. The Skeletor here looks incredible. Comes with his own version of the power sword, of course, extra pairs of hands. Everything is absolutely amazing about this version of Skeletor. Incredible looking. To me, this is probably my favorite Skeletor in a way. Like I said, there's been so many different versions of Skeletor, but as far as the 80s look and vibe from the Filmation cartoon, this has got to be one of my favorite versions of Skeletor in the MasterVerse line. Compared to his, you know, his Origins version right there, you can see. Looks incredible. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Of course, this I'll show you also, because I talked about this yesterday about the He-Man. This is that flocked He-Man. I'm gonna show you. So there's the flocked He-Man right here with the flocked clothing and the boots right there. So this is the same exact He-Man I just showed you guys yesterday on the channel. The Walmart exclusive single card 40th anniversary. It's the same exact He-Man. There's no difference right there. It's just this version is flocked. And I believe his weapons are more back metal, have more of a shine to them, to his Walmart exclusive. So I want to show you this. I mean, I had to. Right there, same face sculpt and everything. Of course, his own power sword right there. So yeah, so like I said, I really wished that Mattel would have given us a single carded version or variant of this Skeletor in retail. Unfortunately, they did not. But you never know; they might still do it. You know, they might surprise us, and that'll be a wonderful surprise. Wonderful surprise. Okay. Now let's compare this version of Skeletor to the one like the closest version of Skeletor I can do in my loose collection, which was this Skeletor here. This was the, like I said, the part of that throne room version of Skeletor we just looked at recently on the channel. I tweaked it up a little bit. Like I said, I removed, of course, his cape with that, like, I feel like that this has that more of that Lords of Power vibe armor right here. But once I removed it and I put on a fresh new head sculpt from that new Eternia version of Skeletor, part of that Viking version of Skeletor, this is probably like the closest, I'm telling you about the closest version of Skeletor that I can get for getting that 80s vibe, that classic vibe of Skeletor. I'm putting them right next to each other, right there. And you see almost similar head sculpts in a way. Unfortunately, this one is not articulated, but still, this is probably the closest version of Skeletor I can get to show you guys to compare. All right, but this is still a great looking Skeletor. And the beauty thing about these figures here, I mean, like I said over a lot of times on my channel, is that you can customize these versions of these figures to come up with what you would come, closest to your perfect Skeletor, He-Man, any figure in your collection. And that's what I love about the Origins line and the MasterVerse line, is the fact that you can mix and match, you can customize, and come up with some great versions of Skeletor, or He-Man, or any figure in your collection, as far as your imagination can take you. But this is right here is probably the closest version, like I said, of vintage classic Skeletor in my collection, in loose collection. All right. Of course, let's take a look at the artwork right here of this packaging right here. Now, one thing about this version of Skeletor, like I said, like this version, that version, is that his mouth is articulated as well. You can move the mouth up and down if you wish. Okay. Now, unfortunately, this Skeletor has a more of a skinnier frame, face frame, bone frame than this version of Skeletor. That's why I picked this version, because it almost has that round feel to him. But if you can combine like the articulated mouth with this, I think this would probably be the closest, the very closest version of Skeletor that we can get in Origins. And like I said, there's so many different versions and variants of Skeletor. It's crazy that we still have not gotten, I'm trying to think of a real classic version of Skeletor, a real 80s vibe version of Skeletor in the MasterVerse line. his Wave 1 version, I did not care for. I mean, there's been so many versions, but this right here, to me, is probably the closest. And I keep repeating myself, and I do, apologize for that. But it's shocking. It's shocking that we still have not gotten, I'm trying to think, maybe of a vintage. I mean, maybe the Horde version of Skeletor, maybe. That might be another version, I'm thinking. But like, that's why I'm repeating myself, because it's so odd, that we've not really gotten a real 80s style, Filmation classic, style of Skeletor yet. In the MasterVerse line, maybe the new Eternia Battle Armored version of Skeletor might, give us that finally that vintage classic version of Skeletor for us collectors in MasterVerse line. So. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong, guys. Let me know. Maybe there's a Skeletor in MasterVerse that I'm completely forgetting about. Because we have the CGI, we have the the new Adventures of Skeletor, the new Eternia version, the Pirate version, Horde version, this version. I mean, I don't know. Let me know. I might be completely wrong, guys, and I will admit that. So, yeah, it's just odd, very odd that we've not gotten that vintage classic version of Skeletor in the MasterVerse line, like we did with that He-Man, okay? So I think that's a major, major letdown and a step down, That's something that Mattel should have done for us collectors, giving us both versions, not just He-Man, but Skeletor, as a loose, retail version of that Skeletor. But this is probably the best version right here of that amazing Skeletor right there. And of course, we got to end it. The one of the Filmation cartoon collection version of Skeletor. So here he is in the packaging. You have the 80s Adventures, you have the He-Man and the Master Universe Filmation style logo here. Skeletor, the evil Lord of Destruction. There he is in the packaging. Has that Filmation vibe to him. Now, we also got that version of him with that V-Friends pack right here. I'll show him right here. With that V-Friend, with that extra, face sculpts right there. There's that Mattel Creations exclusive right there. This, to me, like the Filmation version of He-Man, is probably, like, the best. If I had to pick the overall best version of Skeletor from the Origins line, compared to his, let me get them two right here. Let's get these two guys right here. First of all, let's get the artwork out of the way. Sorry, guys. Of course, you got the cartoon collection right here. I'm being a little ahead of myself, and I apologize for that. Right there, beautiful, right there. Beautiful artwork right there of Skeletor. There he is, with the Mask of Power. There's He-Man right there. We just looked at yesterday. Skeletor as well. I mean, amazing. There's that throne right there. Beautifully done. Beautifully, amazing, amazing figures here from the cartoon collection. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this version of Skeletor next to his re-release right there. There we go. Let me get that Skeletor right there. So you have two versions of this iconic villain here. Sorry, get the camera down a little bit low. Right there. You have two classic, versions of Skeletor here. His 80s vibe from the Origins line in a way, and of course his Filmation cartoon collection vibe. And if I had to pick the, these are like He-Man, these are still, neck and neck. Grew up watching the Filmation cartoons. I go to this one. Of course, this is the one that we bought, at the retail stores and played with and stuff like that. Both of them share a special place, in our hearts, especially my heart, These are two iconic looking versions of Skeletor. If I had to pick, who number one for me would be probably this version of Skeletor, like He-Man, because this is the one I watched as a kid in cartoon, and I loved, and I always questioned that, why we didn't really get this version of Skeletor in toy form in the 80s, but this one, this one we did get, still a classic version of Skeletor. So if I had to pick between the two, I would pick this one number one, okay? This one a close number two, but these are still, this version is still amazing, absolutely amazing. The style looks great. Of course, the differences in the in the form itself or the figure itself is different from the abs from both versions to, of course, the feet. I mean, the the Havoc staff, the power sword of this version. Two iconic versions of Skeletor. I mean, and perfect, absolutely perfect. But if I had to pick the one that I like the most, this version first, this one second. But that's a close, and I could switch at any time. But right now, like I said, I've been enjoying the cartoon collection, Filmation style versions of Skeletor. But this one here is still an amazing version of Skeletor. So let me know in the comments below, what is your preferred version of Skeletor in Origins? Okay. Now, with the MasterVerse version, all right, that is a no-brainer, okay? Because technically, we only got, like unless I'm wrong, this is the only single-carded, in a way, 80s vibe version of Skeletor. Between the two here, these are still great versions. This is still a great version of Skeletor. But I have to pick this version right here from MasterVerse. It's my overall #1 classic version of Skeletor over this one. This one I had to tweak it up. I had to switch the head, change it up a little bit with this version of Skeletor to come close to the classic version of Skeletor. So this version of Skeletor is my #1 version of MasterVerse or classic Skeletor. Now compared to this version here to this one, no, this one would be my favorite. So this one here is my overall favorite version of Skeletor. So this is #1 from Filmation. This is my #1 from MasterVerse. But overall, this run here is my overall favorite version of Skeletor. Let me know in the comments, below, what has been your favorite version of classic Skeletor between the Origins line and the MasterVerse line in your collection. Or did I? And also, let me know too. Like I said, if I missed a version of Skeletor that has that classic 80s Filmation vibe of Skeletor. I'm trying to think. I'm still thinking right now. I think that only thing I can think of is the Horde version of Skeletor, which I don't think he's that 80s vibe. But I could be wrong, guys. Could be wrong. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts and feelings about this. What is your favorite version of classic version of Skeletor in your collection, which could be the Origins line, MasterVerse line, you name it, guys. All right. But there you go, guys. There's a look at the classic version of Skeletor from the Origins version to his MasterVerse look right there. All right. I'd like to take the time now, of course, to thank my subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. Today is my birthday. Happy birthday. And hopefully on my birthday, tomorrow we'll be hopefully reviewing. So don't forget to hit that notification bell. So once again, I want to thank my subscribers. I'm hoping to get the Man of War MasterVerse figure to unbox with you guys. That was the new Revolution Man-at-Arms figure, part of the new wave that's coming out. Hopefully I'll be able to have him in hand and unbox with you guys tomorrow. All right, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. We've got new figures coming soon to the channel. Like I said, Beastman, some new Turtles of Grayskull figures as well. Hope that Spikecore figure, I can find a second one to unbox. All right, but a lot of great figures to come to unbox and review, you guys. So I hope you guys will come and join me for those. Okay, so I hope you guys have a great Thursday, and I'll see you guys on Friday. Take care and have a good one, everybody.